I think I have an idea, and I could be wrong, but why it is that all platforms would be silencing me, including Trump's, and probably Trump thinking it's best. Because what have you all done with this kingdom? Not just him, all of you. You've made people love the world. That's what I resent the most, because there was a reason. Jesus is way smarter than all of you, okay? He just is. He knew much better. God knows much better. No matter how great you think you are, no matter how much you think God's blessed you. Which God blessed you with all of your worldliness and wealth? Who did Jesus say was running this kingdom? And again, Jesus allows it because man chooses it. And what does man do? From the prosperity churches to, I mean, I work in psych. This is such a hard thing for me to say, because people will not understand it. But there was a reason that Jesus didn't want you to love the world. And he didn't want you to attach to it. And all you positive prosperity people do is want to make people love it and say how wonderful it is. It's wonderful if God was in charge. And this world will tell you God is in charge. He is. And he allows the Prince of Darkness to run it because of man's refusal to surrender to him. And see, there's a reason Q was put out there, right? It was to get, the Q people know best, right? And I didn't follow Q, and I'm not trying to say anything against them. But then I come along, okay? And I'm somebody that did do research on my own, just because I knew something was wrong. And then I have this background of, that I have walked with God for a long time. And most people would say you're just negative. No, but Jesus said, he said there wasn't a lot to love in this place. So when you prosperity people that likely think you're doing best by saying, no, everything's positive, what you've done is you've presented the people, your kingdom, your empire, your country, with this illusion under the Prince of Darkness that everything is great. And in all honesty, I believe in with all my heart that you think that's best. And you likely, have had the quantum computer for a long time, the AI that gives you the predictions and which route is best. But what have I been saying? Surrender to God. Yet that surrender is not a word that's used in the Bible. It's almost like God knew, no, the AI won't be able to get around it. So even if you got all your best information, Trump administration, from a quantum computer at one time, because I'm sure AI's been around a lot longer than we've been told. And even if you have fed it the entire Bible, it likely would have never picked up on that Jesus came and surrendered. Because the word's not in there. I think it's in there twice in the Bible. I mean, his life showed it. Everything he did, John's gospel shows it, that ultimately that is what he came to show you and he wanted you to do. He is the way. Nobody's done it his way after the apostles. So you would silence me because you would see me, whether on the left or the right, Trump, Biden, doesn't matter. You would see me as a threat because you have the Q people believing this is how we're going to handle it, this is best. And then I come along and I'm like, no, you need to surrender. You've all put this, you've all again, people meaning having the best intentions that want, have this positive view of the world. And am I trying to say that God said that to love the world made you an enemy of his? So you prosperity churches all of you, the administration, on the left and the right, all of you, psychologists, everybody. None of you wanted to follow what Jesus said. There's a reason he said it. Because when you start putting expectations on people that everything's going to be great, oh, don't fall apart, everything's going to be great, and God is letting the prince of darkness run, then you are making things worse. Likely think, no, you know best. Right. The human wisdom, though. It's all vanity. Jesus came because he loved mankind so much that he wanted you to understand how much it was important for you, that he told you where you were living. He told you the way to get out. And none of you did it. You just took his word and you made it into what you want. And you would say, that's just my interpretation. No, my interpretation is right. Because there's no way I would have been sober so many years. No way. It's only God gets all the glory there. So, and I know what it first took, and it was absolute surrender. And it's what it has to be every day. And because of that, I see the world for what it is, what Jesus was trying to tell us, which is why I have such cognitive dissonance with you prosperity churches, okay? And you would say, well, we don't want to hate things. Oh, but understand something. No, God didn't want you to hate, but he said not to love it. He came here hoping, obviously he knew what would happen, that you had to do it his way. You have all wanted to do it your way. And I don't think you'll ever hear that. So it's easier to silence me. Because you think you know best. You all think that you know better than God. Many of you thinking that you're appointed by God. And maybe you are. But what I do know is that when you start talking about how wonderful and this is going to be great and that all, and everybody wants that, but that can only happen because God is in control and God expects you to recognize, who am I still letting run everything, because you all refuse to surrender. The Prince of Darkness. So you make things worse then when you have to dump things on people. Everybody, there's been all this concern that, society will break down if they know what Epstein was about. Whose fault is that? It's if you all had followed Jesus' way, if you had all followed his way and not made it about, it's so wonderful, God gave me this life. He did, with the hope that you would have the strength and the courage and bravery enough to surrender it to him temporarily so he could take you to his kingdom where the true greatness is and not the false illusion. But because you all can't picture that and you all needed your technology to tell you what's best, you just keep digging the hole. Because in all honesty, if people had understood that there was a reason Jesus didn't want you to love the world, not because he wanted you depressed and miserable, but so that you would surrender to him and he'd take you out sooner, and I don't mean by death. But none of you have enough faith. You don't, because your wisdom can't imagine what that would look like. We really can't. But that's what it took, because that's what Jesus showed. So that's why you silence me. You can't put me in the Q category because I'm not a Q person. I've been a huge supporter of Donald Trump. I research stuff that probably Q people never have. But yet I've heard a lot of the Q people say, we can't, society could break down completely. Well, I think that's what God wanted, didn't he? So that maybe you'd realize you need to surrender.